Once in a small, quiet village, there lived a young man named Arman. He had everything he needed: food, shelter, a loving family. But he often felt unhappy. Every time he looked at others, he thought they were living better lives than him. Arman would see his neighbor Rafik driving a new car and feel jealous. He would scroll through social media and see his friends traveling to distant countries, eating at expensive restaurants, and smiling in every picture. He began to believe that happiness meant having more money, more success, more beauty. The more he compared his life to others, the more he felt like a failure. One day, Arman met an old monk who was passing through the village. The monk smiled warmly and asked, "Why do you look so troubled, young man?" Arman poured out his heart. He told the monk how he felt unworthy, unsuccessful, and deeply unhappy because others seemed to be doing so much better than him. The monk listened carefully. Then he said, "Let me tell you a story. Long ago, a crow looked up and saw a swan. 'How white and elegant the swan is,' thought the crow, 'while I am so black and ugly.'" The monk continued, "The swan looked at a parrot and thought, 'How colorful and beautiful that parrot is. People admire it, while I am just plain white.' The parrot then looked at a peacock and felt the same way. Finally, the peacock said, 'I am the most admired bird in the zoo, but I wish I were free like the crow, flying high in the open sky.'" The monk smiled gently. "You see, everyone is comparing, and in doing so, everyone is losing. Happiness is not in comparison. It is in contentment." Arman was silent. He had never thought of life this way. He always measured his worth by others' success, never realizing that those very people might be doing the same. The monk added, "When we compare ourselves, we stop appreciating what we have. We forget our blessings. And in forgetting, we lose the joy that comes from within." Arman asked, "But how do I stop comparing myself? It seems natural." The monk replied, "By practicing gratitude. Every morning, write down 3 things you are thankful for. Slowly, your mind will shift from lack to abundance." From that day on, Arman started a journal. At first, it was hard, but gradually he began to notice small joys: a warm cup of tea, a smile from his mother, the shade of a tree on a hot day. He still saw others with more than him, but now it didn't hurt as much. He understood that everyone's path was different. His life was not better or worse, just unique. As Arman focused more on his own growth and less on others' lives, he felt lighter. He laughed more, worried less, and even began helping others who felt the same pain he once did. Months passed, and Arman became known in the village as someone who was calm, kind, and wise. People came to him for advice, and he shared the monk's story with them. That he realized that happiness is not something you chase, it's something you allow. It lives inside the heart that chooses peace over pressure, gratitude over jealousy. Arman stopped scrolling through social media for comparison. Now, he used it to celebrate others' success without feeling small himself. The monk's story stayed with him forever. Whenever he felt the urge to compare, he reminded himself of the crow, the swan, the parrot, and the peacock. They all had their own beauty. Remember, dear reader, your happiness begins the day you stop comparing yourself to others. Embrace your own journey. The secret of happiness lies not in what others have, but in how deeply you appreciate what you already do. One day, a boy from the village came to Arman and said, "I wish I were like you. You are always smiling, always peaceful. I feel like I'm not good enough." Arman looked at him kindly and replied, "There was a time I felt the same way, but I learned that peace comes when we accept ourselves." He sat with the boy under the same tree where he had once spoken to the monk. "Look at this tree," Arman said. "It doesn't try to be the river. It doesn't envy the mountain. It simply grows where it is and gives shade to whoever comes." The boy nodded slowly. "So, I don't have to be like others to be happy." Arman smiled. "Exactly. You just have to be more of who you already are. That is your gift to the world." From that day, the boy started noticing his own strengths. He stopped hiding his talents. He wrote poetry, helped elders, and began walking with more confidence. Just like Arman, he too became a light for others. Years later, Arman grew old, but his message lived on. The village changed, people came and went, but the story of the crow, the swan, the parrot, and the peacock was told again and again. It reminded everyone, the secret of happiness is not in being better than others, but in being true to yourself.